Is Singapore or the US a better place to live a good life? Should you move from places like New York or San Francisco to Singapore or vice versa? Well, I have lived in Singapore for 4.5 years and I've visited the United States many times, spending there almost a year in total. So I've come up with 8 criteria to help you pick the perfect place to live and work. Let's get started! Don't worry, I promise I won't take any responsibility if you end up packing your bags for Singapore and regretting it later. Let's talk weather. It's a big deal when choosing where to live, right? America's vast size means it's got it all: snow, sun, storms and deserts. Singapore's weather is simpler, hot and rainy all year round, and I personally just love it. In Singapore, you'll save money on clothes and spend less time getting ready, especially with kids. If you have little ones, you know the situation. You have dressed them for like 30 minutes and just before leaving home you hear, "I need pee-pee." But let's be honest, it can get a bit dull wearing only shorts, tees and sleepers every day. No room for fashion and no room for layers also. In the US, you've got options. I used to love the 4 seasons in the state of Maine. I also liked the year-round mildness in San Francisco, except for the chilly summers with plus 16 degrees Celsius. Mark Twain wasn't lying when he said, "The coldest winter I ever spent was the summer in San Francisco." I agree. Let's talk transportation. In Singapore, it's excellent with affordable and convenient options like buses and subway that can take you anywhere quickly. But buying a car in Singapore is tough. It's super duper expensive. To buy a Toyota Corolla Altis in Singapore, on top of the base price, you would need to pay registration fee of $72,000 US, excise duty of $14,000 US, GST of just 5,000, certificate of entitlement COE costing around $63,000. The last one, the COE, it's a permit that gives the holder the right to own a car in Singapore for just 10 years, and it is auctioned off by the government on a regular basis. In total, the cost of Toyota Corolla Altis in Singapore comes to around $230,000 US. That's insane! 10x difference from the starting price of $23,000 for a Toyota Corolla in the US, including taxes. Unlike Singapore, the US is built for cars, with little or no public transportation in most places. However, a few cities like San Francisco or New York City have decent public transit. In Singapore, I used to take bus, taxi or walk for short distances. Now I ride a 4-year-old Ducati Scrambler 400cc that I bought for $15K US. It's super fun and convenient, and even though the price is not cheap compared to other countries, I'm saving in the long run as parking is super affordable, starting at just 50 cents a day depending on the area, and it's available everywhere around the city center. So to sum up, if you are a car lover and cannot live without driving every day, Singapore may be not the ideal place for you. But don't worry, if you miss driving and being stuck in traffic, just cross the border to Malaysia and head to Johor Bahru. You'll feel right at home with their notoriously congested roads. The next one is food. Let's take a look at the 3 main areas: eating out, buying groceries and ordering delivery. Okay, eating out. Fast food is popular in both Singapore and the US, with options like McDonald's, KFC and Subway available in both places. In Singapore, there is also a thriving hawker center culture where you can get a variety of great local dishes for a super good price. On the other end of the spectrum, fine dining options in both countries can be quite pricey. According to the Michelin Guide, Singapore has a total of 62 Michelin-starred restaurants, while New York City has 73. For a typical office worker's lunch in Singapore, a plate of chicken rice at Hawker Center would cost around $3 to $4 US. In the US, a fast food meal at McDonald's or similar can cost around 6 to 8 USD. In Singapore, the top 5 cuisines are Chinese, Malay, Indian, Indonesian and Western, whatever it means. While in the US, the top 5 are Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Japanese and Thai. So if you like Chinese food, no need to move at all. Buying groceries in Singapore. Most of the food is imported due to the country's lack of land for farming. Local markets and supermarkets like FairPrice and cold storage are popular options for grocery shopping. In the US, grocery stores like Walmart and Whole Foods dominated the market. When it comes to prices, a kilogram of chicken breast in Singapore and the US would be around the same, 6 to 9 US dollars. A half-liter bottle of Smirnoff vodka in Singapore can cost around 22 USD, while in the US it will be just 12 bucks. But most importantly, in Singapore the price of mango can range from 1 to 2 US dollars, and in the US it's 2 to 3 dollars. You know, the Economist has created the Big Mac index, and I created a mango index. Ordering food online is becoming increasingly common in both Singapore and the US. In Singapore, food delivery services like GrabFood and Foodpanda are popular, and in the US, services like Uber Eats and DoorDash are widely used. The cost of delivery can also vary, but generally it can range from around 2 to 5 USD in Singapore and 3 to 8 USD in the US. And of course, don't forget the cost of the food itself. Haha. To sum up, all of my foodie friends are crazy about the variety of food in Singapore, especially how good and affordable hawker centers are. And as they say, why did the foodie refuse to eat the airport food in Singapore? Because he had already tasted heaven at the hawker center. Wait, there is a hawker center even inside Changi Airport. Oh, right. To compare job opportunities and salaries, I decided instead of doing Singapore versus the US, it's more fair to compare two cities, Singapore and New York City. Let's start with base salaries. According to Glassdoor, the average base salary for a software engineer at Google in Singapore is about 94k US dollars, while in New York City it's around 130k US dollars. For healthcare professionals, a cardiologist in Singapore can expect to make around 295,000 US dollars per year, while in New York City the salary on average would be about 260,000 US dollars. For primary school teachers, the average base salary in Singapore is around 40k USD per year, while in New York City is about 60k USD per year. Speaking of income tax rates, assuming you earn 100,000 USD annually, you would pay approximately 7,900 USD in income tax in Singapore versus approximately 10,250 USD in state and city income tax in New York City. Now let's take a look at the biggest industries in the job market in both cities. In Singapore, the top 5 industries are finance, technology, healthcare, logistics, and hospitality. In New York City, the top 5 industries are finance, technology, media, healthcare, and education. But hey, if you're not sure which city to choose, don't worry. You can always flip a coin, and if it's heads, go to Singapore. If it's tails, go to New York City. And if the coin lands on its side, well, that means you are destined to be a digital nomad in Malaysia. What language will you need to speak in both places, Singapore and New York? In Singapore, there are 4 official languages: English, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil. In New York City, English is the primary language, but there are over 200 languages spoken in the city, including Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. English is the most commonly used language in both Singapore and New York City, but there are differences in the dialects used. In Singapore, Singlish is prevalent, which can be difficult for foreigners to understand, even for native English speakers. Singlish is unique to Singapore and combines English with other languages. It's a reflection of the country's diverse cultural heritage. What makes a Singaporean? Everyone would say it's English. Okay, now you'll be surprised. In New York City, there are several English dialects also spoken, including African American, vernacular English, Brooklynese, and Yiddish-influenced English. These dialects can be challenging for non-native speakers to understand. If you're planning to visit Singapore, here are some common Singlish phrases that you should know. La. This is a particle added to the end of the sentence, indicating emphasis or making the sentence more casual. Siak, an expression of delight or pleasure. Can or not, a way of asking if something is possible. And you reply, yeah, can. Instead of saying yes, you say just can. Siao, it's crazy or insane. Oh, this one is my favorite. Voila! An expression of surprise or frustration. And my number one is ayo. I use it almost every day. Try to guess what it means in the comment section below. Anyway, whether you're dealing with Singlish or trying to keep up with the fast-paced New York accent, it can be a bit overwhelming for newcomers. But hey, it could be worse. Imagine trying to decrypt the Scottish accent.
Making the lambs and everything, the sheep, just count out a nice bit of money, like.
According to the World Health Organization, Singapore has the 6th best healthcare system in the world, while the US ranks 37th. If you don't have insurance, healthcare costs in the US can be incredibly high. For example, a visit to the emergency room can cost anywhere from $150 to $3,000, while the average cost of a doctor's visit is around $300. In Singapore, healthcare costs are more affordable for those without insurance, with a visit to the emergency room costing around $120 and a doctor's visit costing around $25. Singapore also has a system of government subsidies to help those in need afford medical treatment, called MediSave, but it's only available for Singapore citizens and permanent residents. Average operation procedures in Singapore are also cheaper than in the US. For example, the cost of appendix surgery in Singapore can range from $4,000 to $13K US dollars, while in the US it can cost between 9 to 20K USD. The cost of a cesarean section delivery in Singapore is around 2,500 to 14K US dollars compared to the US, where it can cost between 15K to 30K. If you are a foreigner working and living in Singapore, I would definitely recommend buying a private health insurance, which is generally more affordable than in the US. The average cost is around 2K to 4K US dollars per year. In the US, private health insurance plans can cost you on average anywhere from 400 to 1,000 US dollars, but not per year, but per month. As for the availability of doctors, I can only share my experience in Singapore. Normally, there aren't any issues with long waiting times for doctors' appointments. You can book a slot with a GP or dentist or most doctors in the next day or two. If it's an emergency, you can go to a hospital directly, and the waiting time would be not terrible, usually not more than 1 or 2 hours. But the best part for me personally is that we have a GP right downstairs in our condo. It's just a walk in, and you just need a quick checkup and medicine, you just go there. If you're from the US and you can share your experience with the US healthcare system, please do it in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like me, Singapore, United States or Malaysia. Anyway, the best way to be healthy without doctors is to eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly and get enough rest. You know what they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But in the US, a single doctor's visit can keep the apples away for a whole year. Freedom of speech. Oh, this is a good one. People always accuse Singapore of a lack of freedom of speech. Honestly, on a personal level, I don't have any issues with that. Even being a foreigner and doing a lot of social media, a good rule of thumb is not being extreme and respecting other cultures, habits and opinions. And then you are good in Singapore. But anyway, let's dig into this topic a bit deeper. The United States is often considered one of the freest countries when it comes to the freedom of speech. The First Amendment to the US Constitution guarantees the right to free speech, which means that the government cannot suppress or censor speech even if it's considered offensive or unpopular. This means that people can speak their minds of any topic without fear of punishment as long as it doesn't directly incite violence. On the other hand, Singapore is ranked very low when it comes to freedom of speech. This is due to the country's strict laws and regulations around speech, which are designed to maintain social harmony and stability. Singapore's government has the power to restrict speech and punish those who engage in speech that can be offensive or harmful to public order. In Singapore, freedom of speech is not an absolute right, and there are many limitations to what can be said and discussed. For example, in Singapore, topics such as race, religion and politics are highly sensitive and can lead to legal consequences if not handled carefully. In 2018, Singaporean activist and political candidate Jolomon Wham was sentenced to 16 days in jail. 16 days? How harsh is that? So they put him in jail for scandalizing the judiciary in a Facebook post. Wham had criticized the Singaporean government and judiciary for the treatment of migrant workers and the handling of the country's colonial era sodomy law. The last one is about 377A, which criminalizes gay sex, but it was repealed last year. As for the US, while there is no explicit law against hate speech, it is strongly disapproved and can result in social media cancellation. In 2021, conservative commentator and radio host Rush Limbaugh was cancelled on social media following his death from lung cancer. Many social media platforms removed posts that praised Limbaugh or expressed condolences, pointing to his history of controversial and inflammatory statements. Another interesting fact for for a Westerner about Singapore is that rallies here are allowed, but are heavily regulated. Organizers must obtain a police permit, and strict rules on conduct of participants apply. Speaker's Corner in Hong Lim Park is an exception, where groups can hold demonstrations and speeches without a permit, but certain restrictions apply, and organizers must register their event with the police 7 days in advance. To sum up, you can get in trouble in many places for the stuff you say. Depending on the country, a prosecutor can be the government, people on the street, or Instagram audience. So, as my grandmother used to say, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Safety is a crucial factor when it comes to choosing a place to live and work. While the US is often seen as a dangerous place due to high-profile incidents of gun violence, there are many cities and states that are generally considered safe, such as Vermont, Maine, and Hawaii. I would love to live in Hawaii. On the other hand, Singapore is consistently ranked as one of the safest countries in the world. This is due to its strict laws and regulations around crime and safety, as well as the implementation of CCTV cameras. Singapore has one of the highest densities of CCTV cameras in the world, with an estimated 1 camera for every 14 people. That's why I guess you don't see police on the street that often. So if you commit crime in Singapore, you are very likely to be caught. The police have a high clearance rate for crimes, with about 90% of cases resulting in an arrest. In fact, there is a high chance that you will be caught within hours of committing a crime. For example, in 2019, a man who stole a woman's handbag at a coffee shop, this probably was a big news in Singapore, so he was arrested within 20 minutes of the incident. So basically, you wouldn't have enough time to make it to Malaysia. When it comes to really dangerous areas, it's difficult to compare the US and Singapore directly, as they are very different in terms of size and population. However, in the US, cities such as Detroit, St. Louis, and Baltimore are often cited as some of the most dangerous. In Singapore, the crime rate is generally low across the board, but some areas are considered to be riskier than others. According to the Singapore Police Force, areas such as Geylang, Jurong West, Woodlands, and Yishun have higher crime rates. And speaking about the last one, my Singaporean friends say in Yishun, the police siren is the neighborhood lullaby. Alright, in conclusion, does Singapore offer a higher quality of life than the US? It really depends on you and your lifestyle, your income level, and your view of the world. I personally choose Singapore after living in 6 countries, and I'm super happy here. So come over yourself to see the beautiful city-state. Just don't go to Yishun. YouTube thinks this is the best video for you. If it's bad, it's not my fault. Blame YouTube, so go check it out.